Okay, we'll try it. A little wobbly there. Oops. Uh-oh. Bird. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wow, you can't move it around. Whoa, you can't move it around when it's landing like a regular quad. Okay.
That was pretty cool.
We're going to go home with a success. We're just going to stop right there.
Okay. It was good.
Or not so good, depending on your point of view. There were several problems. When I first got there and turned it on for the first time, one of the tilt motors wouldn't work. It just wouldn't move. So I checked the connectors on the flight controller, and visually none of them seemed loose, but I pushed them all down, and after that it did work. So that's got me a little worried. The one's not making a great connection, and it doesn't take a lot for the connector to be out for it not to connect. So I'm going to have to look into that. What else? Well, I'm just going to run that again without any sound from the video, and I'm going to narrate it for you real quick because it's short enough to do that. So after a few small things there on the ground problems, had me kind of anxious, so wasn't the best start up to a flight. And I apologize for the GoPro camera. It wasn't very windy, but that case just catches wind. I know today I'm going to have to fix that. Notice how it wobbles around. It's almost like it needs a copter tune. We'll be talking about that as I finish up my last documentation file too. So I started sort of taking it up, out away from me, so I could put it into flight mode for the first time, and the monkey flips the switch and off it goes. It was quite an easy transition. Nothing at all strange about it. This is fly-by-wire A. I just made a big circle around myself. It flies quite fast, or should I say I was keeping the throttle up. So as it came out in front of me here again, I put it into Q loiter mode so it could hover there. And then I put it back into flight mode again so I could see how it transitions going from left to right in front of us. So I kept the throttle quite high on it because I didn't want to stall it and put it on the ground, brake parts. So I brought it around in another circle. A lot of this you can't see at distance. I could easily see it when I was there. And I again put it in Q loiter. And dropped it down out there so it would be well under return to launch altitude. And I pulled the switch on return to launch. I know you can't see it right now probably in the video. I can, but I know where it was out there. So here it comes around. And as it comes around, you can probably hear in the video, you can see me moving away from the car because I already tell it's not going to come down where I want it. And there's when I first saw the bird. Yes, there was a hawk. He was down below my 150 return to launch. Now, right now, I've already ascertained this thing is coming down on the car. Yes, I know. I'm moving the sticks around. It's not changing anything. Kind of hung me up a little bit. I should have gone right here and put it back in airplane mode, canceled the return to launch, and just brought it in manually. It's already tested return to launch, but I was a little bit pressured, and I couldn't. I was moving the sticks around. It wouldn't move right, left, forward, or back. It kind of brushed the car, but it did land. And after all that excitement and anxiousness, I decided, that's it. I've done my test. I want to go back, look at dataflash logs, etc., etc. We're just going to make this a success and stop right now. That's the sound of me testing the tilt before I fly.
Okay. We'll try it.
Now I'm going to turn the sound way down and narrate as this one goes. So again, after some difficulties, we got it off the ground. Like I said in the other part of the video, it needs a little tuning. Wobbles too much for me. I wanted to get it high enough to put into flight mode, forward mode, whatever we want to call it, and move it out. And then I flipped the switch to go into forward flight. Man, this thing takes off. But again, I kept the throttle pretty high because I didn't want to stall on the first flight. And here I pulled it back into copter mode, Q loiter. And I rocked it around to the right so I could see it going when I put it back in flight mode. But when I put it back in flight mode, for some reason, it turned to the left before it started. So right here is where you click it into flight mode. It kind of went around to the left, and then, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I need data files. Data, data, data. Important to me. So we bring it around in another big circle. And I decided to test return to launch. So we pulled it up in copter mode again right here. And I pulled the switch to go to Q return to launch. You can see it raising up to 150 feet here. Again, I didn't get any kind of data, so we're assuming it went to 150 feet, and then it took off in airplane mode again. Didn't have far to go. So it sort of got a little confused about coming out of airplane mode here and going into copter mode and auto landing. But it did it. It did it. Just again, my only problem with that was it did not respond to the sticks at all. And I could swear, even in auto modes with all the quads I've ever had before, I was able to adjust it around as it came down and returned to launch. For some reason, Q return to launch doesn't seem to allow me to nudge it in any direction. So I'm going to have to dig deeper into that. And like you saw, I hit the car. So overall, again, I came home with no broken parts. So the fact that it came down and hit the car had me just really, really bothered, to the point where I was going, no, if I do any more flying, I'm going to break something. Because I was pushing the sticks full throw. It came straight down the way it wanted to. I had no input on the matter. Need to get that figured out, or launch well. Walk like 20, 30 feet or further away from any object next time. But learning all that, there were some other problems. One of the biggest problems was when I got it back to the house and went to look at the dataflash logs. There are none. So I have no data. I figured I had generated enough data points out there where I could see how many GPS satellites it locked up. It locked up 9 before I took off in a very short period of time. And Gray Badger and some others have helped me out and told me that that's an M8 GPS module. So I thought 9 was cool. We'll go with that. So I took off. I suppose it returned to launch at 150 feet, and I flew below that for the 2 circles I made, but can't prove it. Don't have dataflash logs to prove it. Don't have telemetry to the ground station, so have no proof of that. Don't even have OSD data to the ground because I haven't put a video transmitter and a camera in it yet. So a little bit disappointed about that, but overall, I thought it went well. I have a little fear of this plane being fragile. And of course, like I say, for this particular flight, I kept the throttle quite high, so I wouldn't stall it in a turn or climbing, stall, or anything like that. I didn't want to spin in and break parts, so to speak. So there's some other things I didn't like and had me anxious. Was I realized this morning as I started charging batteries and getting ready to go, I didn't see any information on center of gravity in anything I've done in the past few days. I'm going to have to look for that harder. So I did see a little blurb or something about it being on the back part of the hatch latch on top, the place where you close the hatch, that the back of it was CG. I went with kind of the spar in the wing, and that's why I was really afraid to put it in flight mode, because if it was too far back, it'd just go tail down and that'd be the end of it. Probably couldn't get it back in Q loader before it hit the ground. So I was real anxious about center of gravity. I was hoping the dataflash logs would show me more of that. Now, I don't know if there's no SD card slot or if there is an SD card slot in this flight controller, or no logging was turned on. I'll have to look at all of that. But that's the reason for this maiden flight. Go out and find out what works and what doesn't work. So overall, I think it was pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this out with some scenes from the Apple Festival that we went to yesterday. I got a little sunburn. That's what kind of delayed this maiden flight. It's just a little festival we have in our downtown each year. And I had a apple fritter. I haven't had one of them in a while. The GPS for the 5-inch did come today. I'll be attacking that. I've got my last video to make on quad planes. I've got a question on walk snail fonts. Be working on that. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this to you guys and work on those things and get back to you later today. Have a good one. Thank you so much.